Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. So this video is a bit of a change of pace from what I like to film, but I really think it's important for me to share this message that I have in this video because it's essentially our future at stake. So as you all know, I am a mom. I'm a mom to 3 children. And because I'm a mom and because I'm around children and because I have children, I think it is very important for me to share what God, I believe, has put in my heart to share with you. Now more than ever, we need to protect our children. So usually I sit in silence. I like to pray and I like to ask God to help kind of give me some direction. So I have notes that I wrote down that I am going to be occasionally glancing at as I talk. It has been normalized that we allow the world to influence and raise our children. And society has been constructed in such a way that a lot of us have to allow the world to raise our children. Now, we can only do what's within our means. So I understand that a lot of these issues we can't really avoid. But it is still important that we are made aware of how the world corrupts our children. Starting with the shows they watch and the games that they play. Unknowingly, they are planting seeds within our children's minds. And I'll be honest, growing up, our shows weren't much better. I've gone back and watched my childhood shows just for that nostalgic feeling, only to find out that a lot of that stuff that we were growing up watching, we had no business watching either. But our parents and guardians weren't aware of the fact that they needed to monitor our shows. And video games are just as bad. And don't get me wrong, because I love me some video games. And I allow my children to play certain games here and there. But those violent ones, those can desensitize a child. They desensitize adults. My daughter asked if she could play Roblox, and I just remember being on social media and seeing someone stream Roblox, and I'm not fully aware of how the game works. I don't know if you can filter out those things, but let's just say it was crazy. And like I said, no 7-year-old, 8-year-old needs to be involved with games where people are partaking in certain things that they are in Roblox. I know a lot of parents allow their children to play it, which I'm not judging you for it. All I'm saying is at the end of the day, we need to be made aware of the entertainment that is being made available for children. And just because it looks innocent and frilly and bubbly and cute doesn't mean that they are sprinkling inappropriate topics into the shows and into the games. Ultimately, it is up to us to decide what is okay and what isn't. This one is going to ruffle some feathers. So it is what it is. School. The school system is flawed. And I can only speak for the US because that is where I live. But the environment has damaged a lot of children. And I don't think people are willing to acknowledge this. First and foremost, the teachers are overworked and underpaid. Walk with me for a second. As a parent, imagine how difficult it is to raise and teach 1 child, 2 children, 3 children, however many children you have. It don't matter. Imagine how difficult it is. Now multiply that by like 30. Unrealistic. And a lot of people are relying on teachers to not only teach their children reading, writing, arithmetic, but a lot of parents are expecting teachers to raise their children as well. Teachers are not just teachers, they're also babysitters, mentors, referees. Literally, they're the parent when you're not around. And quiet as kept, a lot of these teachers don't care about your children. Some of them are even verbally, mentally, and physically abusing your child. I have personally seen and known of people who were teachers, and they would get on like Facebook, or they would like get on social media, and they would complain about the children. They would talk about how they hate children, but they're teachers, and how they would, in a sense, they would act petty, or they would unfairly treat some of the students that they had to teach because their hearts aren't in it. And these are the people who you're trusting your children with. When I was in 3rd grade, I literally had a gym teacher beat me with a yardstick. Mind you, I was a well-behaved child, and the only reason why things got to the way they were was because a child snatched my backpack and I went to go get my backpack. The teacher got upset that we were running around when I was just going after another student to get my backpack, and she beat both of us with a yardstick. And when I became a mom myself, I had sent my son to public school like usual. And although my son was a bit precocious, meaning he knew how to read, he knew how to write, he loved numbers, he was a bit ahead of some of the children in his class, he socially wasn't able to really adjust well to the culture of the classroom. So really what that means, sitting in your seat for hours at a time, being taught with 30 other children the same exact way. That was not something that he really was able to acclimate himself to. His kindergarten class had 32 children. And I remember meeting with his teacher, and she had told me that she was sending him to special ed because she wasn't able to give him the attention that he needed because she had 31 other children to teach. Mind you, who has the bandwidth to teach 32 5-year-olds? 5-year-olds. So during his time in special ed, I noticed a shift. He would come home sad, and he would come home saying that he was horrible and that he was a bad kid and just all of these deprecating things. I ended up finding out that the special ed teacher had accused him of stealing another student's hat. Did not tell me, and proceeded to call my child horrible. Now I know my baby, and he's never been a thief. In fact, he was the sweetest, most calm 5-year-old. What ended up happening was they were sending students home with other students' belongings. And the only reason why I found this out was because they had sent my son home with another student's jacket. Mind you, I labeled everything. His coat, his hat, his book, everything had his name on it. The parents might have done the same thing, but they were getting sent home with other students' things. And that was how that played out. So I didn't appreciate the way this teacher had insulted my child, and I went to address the school staff, and they laughed and they dismissed me. And that same day I pulled my son out of public school. Whether we like it or not, those type of environments can shape who our children are. And sometimes that's good, but sometimes that's bad as well. And I want my children to remain authentically themselves without someone telling them who they are or without them being bullied into who they should be. That was over 7 years ago. Now, I am completely aware that not everyone has the ability to homeschool, but being active and communicating with your child and taking action when it is needed is key when your child is going to public school. It's very difficult for schools to mistreat your child when you're an involved parent. An abusive school environment's worst enemy is an involved parent. That means going to all the meetings, showing up when your child calls you, knowing each and every staff member by name, having everybody's number. Now, I really need y'all to hear me out with this one, but you have to be careful with other kids. Some of the worst things that children have picked up have came from other children. Like, I'm not a sleepover mom. My children can't spend the night. Oh, we had a family function? No, we will not be leaving the children unattended with their cousins. If I am unaware of how a child was raised, then they cannot hang. If I see that another child has been overexposed to things, they cannot hang. Not to say that these children should 100% be avoided and isolated. What I'm saying is they should not be left unattended. My husband and I are both fully aware of what goes on when children are left unattended because we were those children. And as a former child, a lot of the jacked up stuff that I learned came from other children. And I'll be honest with you, we've received tons of remarks with how we choose to raise our children. But I just cannot find a good enough reason to care. Children are not allowed to be children, especially Black children. So one of the most important components in my parenting is allowing my children to be children as long as they can. I want them to be their selves without being bullied into being different. And I want my children to remain innocent in their formative years, without the world telling them who they should and shouldn't be. Like, this world is wicked. Like, this world was given to the hands of the wicked. And y'all want me to let it raise my children? Absolutely not. Now, I'm not that out of touch of reality. I know that they need to be prepared for the real world. I just know that exposing them to the real world when they're just babies is traumatizing to them. And when they find themselves inevitably dealing with life's struggles and conflicts, it's important that we are present as parents to help navigate them through it. We can only do our best as parents. And this isn't to make anyone feel bad. Like I said, I was given this message just to inform. No matter what your circumstances are, you can still raise your children lovingly and you can still protect them fiercely. Also, I don't know who this is for, but if your child is being severely bullied in school, take them out, pull them out, like immediately. The enemy is coming for our babies and we are their first line of defense. I'll talk to you soon.